Alright, so this is going to be a disassembly slash assembly of a 249 Daytona kit. I'll kind of talk about the points as I'm taking it apart, what you would need to do for installation. This is a very straightforward kit. Some things may be a little different and I'll point them out, but it's very simplistic. So, first and foremost, if yours has like a heat shield on top of it, I mean, it just pull up, pull out, set it aside. Now, depending if you had your kit already installed, the barrel may not just come straight out, which is whatever, it is what it is. If not, what I'm about to show you, I would recommend doing. Guarantee this will help you out a ton. Pop the feed tray, or the top cover, whatever. There will be, right, hopefully you can see it. Let's see what size. I want to say Allen wrench size. It's a 2. There will be a screw right here inside the brass piece. I will show you it again. Basically what it is it holds the hop-up chamber from the barrel to the actual hop-up assembly inside the unit. Again, I'll show you it again, but there might be a little set screw there. Yep, it's a 2 set screw. I highly recommend doing this. If your kit does not have it, it's already tapped. Just put the screw in and it will hold it, and you'll see a little bit later what I'm talking about. So we'll pull that out. So now that that's out, it will come out like a regular AEG. Just push the lever, barrel assembly comes out. For the moment, I'll put that to the side. Alright, so to remove the air line, simply push on the white, pull up on it, I guess, if that makes any sense, and pull the connector off, and it's free. You're going to have a body pin. Take an Allen wrench, take it doesn't matter, a punch, just something that you can hit this body pin out with. Shouldn't be in there with very much force. The back of yours is going to be a little bit different than mine, maybe, because I've lost the screw 100 times, but the back screw here on the pistol grip, mine's, again, like I said, it's probably different. Whatever you have there, you're only going to take off the bottom. Take mine off. I just have a set screw, well, not a set screw, but a screw and a nut holding mine in. And then your pistol grip should just slide right off. We'll put that aside. Well, actually, let me show you now. So with that being separated, the kit will come with a bolt that comes in there. It'll basically a bolt and a nut that you'll screw in through the bottom here. You may not be able to see that. I'll put a picture on the screen, but the bolt itself is already hollowed out. It's already got a hole drilled through it, so you should, right from the get-go, just be able to fit your airline right through it with ease, essentially. For those of you, AEG-wise too, that are trying to just maybe make the trigger a little bit faster pull, a little easier pull, whatever the case may be, there's a little set screw right here. Essentially, on mine at least, if you loosen that or tighten it, if you tighten it, obviously, I'll put it in more. If you loosen it, it'll kind of raise it, so as you pull the trigger, it'll engage faster, if that's what you're looking for. So now that that's out, there's going to be 2 body screws. Right here and right here. You can't miss them. Mine will be maybe a little bit different than what your kit looks like, and it's because I have put lock washers on mine, and I've changed out the screws just because out of everything on this kit, those are the 2 things that come loose the absolute most. I mean, I've lost them. Being blue Loctited, yes, but I have actually lost them on the field. You know, I kind of get off and I look and I'm like, oh, I'm missing one. Thank God the other one held itself in. Since I went to lock washers, I've yet to have that issue. So, I mean, you don't need it, but just be advised to just pay attention to it. I mean, they're not real guns, but again, treat it like a real gun and just kind of, I mean, pay attention to what's going on with the gun. The more you pay attention, the less chances of something going wrong, and maybe the faster chance of you catching something that went wrong and less catastrophic killing the kit. So you might be able to see it, but nonetheless, it's got a little bit of some Loctite on it. But just a screw and a washer. I think my bin says, what did I write on it? M4 by 8 millimeters is what they are. You can go to the store, I guess, buy them, whatever you want to do. Or McMaster. Take both those out. Now once those are out, the kit essentially is going to be free. If you look at the bottom here, you might be able to see, it was kind of rough because I did it quick with a cutoff wheel, but you're going to have to open this up wider. This area is going to have to be opened up. Not a bad thing, it's just going to be opened up just to allow the kit and the airline to essentially fit. So once that's opened up, I mean, it'll, again, allow the airline and everything to come through a little easier. A simple Dremel with a cutoff wheel will open it up, no problem. So if you notice now, it actually, kit kind of moves. Open the top cover. Simply just, I mean, push the kit. If it's forward, just push the kit back. Pull up, grab the air shaft gently, whatever, just pull anything you want. Pull it up. The actual base of the kit is out. Show you that in a second. For those of you that are maybe confused on how this piece on the actual charging handle is, it's real fucking simple. There will be, again, you might not be able to see it, but if you can or can't, there'll be just 2 screws right here, 2 tiny little Phillips or tiny little Allen screws that'll just secure it right to the charging handle right from the get-go. You don't have to really do much to it. Then as far as the feed where you put your box mag and shit, these 2 Allens up here, you'll have to unscrew that, and there'll be a little attachment you might be able to see that goes right up inside there. I mean, it's pretty simplistic, to be honest with you. I'm not saying you can't mess it up, but I don't know what you did. I mean, it kind of only goes in one way. So we'll put that aside for a moment. So here you have the engine now. Be advised, this pin right here, mine's already doing it. There you go. It's not a bad thing. I think they get shipped with a piece of tape over it, both sides, which is really not a bad idea. It's basically the pin that I'll just call it the trigger pin. This bottom piece here is actually what your trigger, when you pull on the gun, is going to push. And if you can see again, you can't because the way this kit is built, but when you push that, I'll show you when we take it apart, there's a rod that it's pushing, and the rod's essentially opening and closing the valve. So you have this, you want to take it apart. The airline fitting is basically just, it's a little different than most kits. That being said, I personally just installed the sucker with red Loctite and just cinched down and left it there and haven't had any issues with it. I don't really need to maintain it or anything. If you take out these 2 back screws, which I will not be doing, it will disconnect this back block from the overall base here, which you would only take those out if you're trying to take the valve out or something along those lines. But for your basic just cleaning and repair, your general repair, I guess, we're not going to need to take it out. What you're going to do is take out these 2 screws, which I, again, with every kit, highly recommend Loctiting. This piece will be removed during maintenance, so maybe put blue Loctite on it. Just, I don't know if people don't understand, but when you put blue or any Loctite, that doesn't mean put Loctite on it and like literally just hit the field. If that's what you got to do, is what you have to do. But I mean, let it cure. It doesn't take long, but yeah. So loosen these. I'm gonna just put some downward pressure on it, because when you take these out, what it's gonna be doing is loosening, let's say, the little other piece that's gonna connect to the hop-up chamber, which is this part. This area right here is where BBs are gonna feed into from inside the gun, and they feed up into this little chamber up here, which is what the hop-up slides into, which I will show you in a second again. So we're just gonna remove these. This kit is for the most part a drop-in. Like I take that Dremel, cut open that little area, like I said, just a little bit more than what the stock body is, and yeah. All right, so it's loose. It's just not pulling out. It's probably just from some dried Loctite. Either pull them out, or it's probably already free. We'll just. All right, so they're loose. They're just not all the way out. My hand is still on it. Be careful, because this piece will shoot. you're going to just basically, if you grab the actual bolt carrier, you'll be fine. Kind of grab both together, sort of separate it, just pull up gently. If you saw, just kind of did it on itself. And if you look right here, it's basically machined out, so it'll ride in this groove here. So I mean, you can't really, don't want to say you can't fuck it up, but again, as usual, someone will find some way to fuck it up. But it'll kind of hold itself in there. So if you just sort of pull up ever so gently, don't get crazy with it because the air shaft is riding in the fucking valve. So don't like pry on it to the point where you bend the air shaft somehow. But there, I mean, it's real simple. So if you look right here, underneath is where I said that the trigger is going to push. If you push it, you can see the bar right there. And that bar gets pushed. So if you want to take that bar out, again, remove these 2 back screws, and that'll give you access to that. The bar will slide out, yada yada. So if you want to see, you know, how much your valve is being pressed in and all that stuff, it's a little bit different of a. It's not a. The kit fundamentally operates the same. It just, some things are a little different. The majority of the kits look, but I mean, it functions the same way. So I'll put that aside. This for the most part is the same as, I mean, same fundamentals. Guide rod, spring, bolt separates. So with your bolt, your charging handle actually attaches to this bolt. Is what it's gonna, or this screw basically is what it's gonna pull on. As usual, the screw right here, because this kit comes apart, like to disassemble it, you're gonna, you know, take this part out. I would use blue Loctite, not red. I mean, I'm not gonna say you can't. You can use red. Some people have issues. With blue, don't really have much of an issue. The only things I really red Loctite, I've said it, and I'll say it again. The only things I really red Loctite are screws that I'm never gonna like really take off, or very seldom, which would be the collar screws. Those definitely I red Loctite. This for maintenance purposes, the blue just seems to hold fine. I just, again, watch it, you know. On an AK kit, no, I red Loctite that because you can take the bolt tank and the bolt carrier group apart. So I just red Loctite it. So this is a part. At this point in time, anything, look how dirty yours is, just wipe it down, do whatever the case may be. The plunger inside, just shake, it'll come out. If it's dirty, wipe it down. The cloth, the rag, whatever. Just do a quick test to see if everything inside still functions without taking it apart. If you just push down gently on the nozzle, you'll kind of have so it kind of springs back up. So I'm going to assume the spring is not broke because it's still springing up. If you want to check if you have a Delrin ring, crush ring, or whatever crush ring you have on there, again, you want to take the air shaft out, disassemble these 4 screws. I've done that in other videos, but for just a quick clean, I'm not gonna deal with that. Now, let's talk about earlier with the hop up. So here's the barrel. Let me take that out. The way the hop up chamber goes into the barrel, you'll slide it in. The newer kits, I believe, this is a Gen 4 kit, yes, but I think Kevin's made some other adjustments to it where you don't need a spring. So mine will have a spring, and you'll see that. But so you'll slide your hop up chamber. You slide your hop up chamber inside the outer barrel, and it will get secured with this little set screw right here. I'll show you that. So we'll just loosen that. Mine's gonna maybe shoot a little bit because I have a spring. So if yours has a spring in it, to help it, I mean, just push it in the hop-up chamber. Just to kind of release some tension off of the slot. And you'll see again what I'm talking about in a second. Mine's stuck because this might not apply to you guys. Mine's stuck just because I've got like a little bushing at the end of it. At the end of mine. Yes, I know the suppressor also does not do anything. It's clearly a looks thing. I've got O-rings on the end of my barrel. I will show you. Just the little bushing that comes on the gun, and then I've got some rubber O-rings to just sort of, once I tighten everything down, it just sort of helps stabilize the barrel. I can't pull it out with those O-rings on it. Take the O-rings off, the bushing so I don't lose it. There. Alright, so my kit at the time came with two springs. Granted, this basically ends up coming out to being the same length as the original AEG one. But when you go to put the hop together, if you've never done it, I'm not going to disassemble mine. I think I've done that in another video too. But you'll have your two screws here, typically 90 degrees, well actually 180 degrees apart. That will secure it to a collar that's inside here that's going to clamp down on the barrel, which is why we say no aluminum barrels. Because if you're going to get a little crazy with those, it will definitely crush the barrel. It can even crush brass. Stainless is definitely safest bet, even though this is a brass barrel. Just don't get retarded with it. And your hop-up adjustment screw. There's a groove here. If you notice, mine's got white Teflon tape. Its honest reason for that is so I can see it. It's not really a performance gainer, but here's the chamber that, again, goes onto the actual rail that we took off earlier. That screw I was referring to, that gets screwed in to hold the hop-up chamber, is this screw. Not this one. Sorry. It's this screw. Not this one, it's this one. So the hop-up chamber goes in like this when the gun's assembled, and that's how she sits. So what that set screw does is, granted, while the barrel and the hop-up chamber inside the outer barrel, the spring and stuff is going to keep pressure on it, but as you know, the Daytona is going to kick and recoil all over the place. So this, when you slide this in, if you put the set screw in here, the set screw now will hold essentially this hop-up chamber where that set screw is holding it, which is what this groove is cut out for. So you ask why the Teflon tape is there? Because honestly, so when I stick my chamber in there, it's a little bit snug, but I can also look and I can see that there's white Teflon tape, so I know it's grabbing in the proper area, not like the barrel's just half-assed like that and I'm grabbing on some random spot. I know it's fully in there, and the set screw will grab this groove that's ground around it, which now is going to keep these two locked together. So as long as I can get my nozzle essentially to be of proper length, granted the plunger's not in it, but the hop-up chamber is not going to move, so my hop should at least be consistent as far as that's concerned. That's what that does. So again, when that's locked in, you won't be able to remove your outer barrel because this will be locked to your outer barrel and it won't, until you move that set screw out. Alright, so with all that being said, we're going to put it back together. Lube, 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 right? Alright, so reassembling it. Everyone talks about lube, 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 and again, yes, my first Daytona video I did with the MSK, I think, break-in, like our joke video, we lubed the shit out of it, and don't get me wrong, it did help as a break-in. It absolutely did. It didn't, at least I think it did. It went pretty smooth. I've had some smoother installs actually too, but that's near here or there. The gun's already running. Let's just say I'm going to put it back together. You do not need that much lube. I can't speak for all the lubes out there, but especially if you used like some Get Some 1000 or something like that, it really does. Even right now, it has just made this a real nice, like a sheen. I'm not going to say it's physically lubed, but it has like a nice feel to it still at this point. So a little goes a long way. So I'm going to lube this as if I'm going to play with this. I'm going to put this back together and that's how it's going to sit. So again, they come in bazillion types of different things. If you're scared of getting your hands dirty, there's other bottles you could use, but I don't mind touching this, and I have like a little rag here, so I'm okay. So I'm going to just simply put one drop on the outside of this. I'm going to rub my hand around it, put some inside of here, which is going to help, especially if you have a rubber one. It helps regardless, but this is what's going to sit, on the crush ring. So I'm not going to get super crazy with it, but there's that. Just slide it over the air shaft. It'll find its home there. There you go, one little drop there to go on that. Just kind of lather her around. Grab your bolt carrier, slide it in. I mean, it kind of goes one way. You'll see there's a cutout back there, which is going to be for the guide screw. Slide it in. Okay, it's in there. Maybe just do a little rotations, kind of get her good. So the back screw that I'm going to install, I'm going to use blue Loctite. This is like just some, I mean, it's all the same shit probably for the most part, but thread lock, semi-permanent blue. I got it from Harbor Freight. I don't know where, you know, you are in the world, what you have by you, but I mean, just get some blue thread locker of sorts. Inspect the screw. Most of the time I do clean them off, I'll be honest. So if you can kind of see, the screw's got, I mean, it's got like some white on it. It's like this Teflon tape of sorts. It's just from the blue Loctite sitting on it. I mean, there's MEK, which is a little overkill. This is just some fucking, I don't know, alcohol in a container. A little spritzer. I'll give it a little wetness. And for this little tiny screw, I mean, it'll wipe it right away. You can reinstall it. I just kind of, depending on the kit you have, not this screw necessarily, but a bunch of screws. If you got like a bunch of body screws, they don't really go back in the threads. I like to have it just kind of going in clean. So I'll make like a little tray and just put some alcohol or something in it, or some mineral spirits. Let the screws just kind of sit in and clean them off. So grab your blue thread locker. Grab the right Allen wrench. That's usually a key. And you don't gotta go fucking crazy. Just put one little drop. You also don't want to put a ton, because that way if it starts coming out of the hole, like mine is now a little bit, oh, never mind. You don't need it like locking anything to the wrong components or anything like that. And you don't gotta get fucking crazy with the screw either. Just give it a little hand snug, a little hand tight. And she's in there. Get rid of my blue Loctite for the moment. Okay, so next piece, I'm going to just put a little drop. Again, nothing crazy. Boom, little drop. Come on, there you go. Little drop on there, rub it around. Take the air shaft, because there's an O-ring right in the back here of the bolt tank. Just kind of get it nice and lubed. Again, look at yours. If there's like a lot of shit inside of this, run some towels, get something inside of there to clean everything out. Mine was clean. It's been sitting for about a year, and I cleaned, I want to say, most of these before I went away. And yeah, they sat, let's just say, in storage, nice and clean. We're going to put that off to the side for a moment now. I'm going to grab the actual, the main body piece here. There's a couple ways, I mean, there's really one ultimate way you're going to put this back together, but what I like to do is take, I should have grabbed the same thing, wipe off the end of the air shaft. Let me throw that in there. This, if you have any lube on it, now would be a fucking time to wipe this off. If you want to put some alcohol on it, I don't give a shit. Just get this end of this air shaft clean now. Because once it goes inside this kit, this is not a kit where you can just access the front of the air shaft. That's probably one of your number one leading issues, I think. Maybe not the number one, but it's on the top 3 list of inconsistent hop-ups. Because the air shaft's got fucking lube all over and it's getting up inside the bucking and so forth. So I'm going to put these two together. Like so. I'm going to take the guide rod and I'm going to slide it in the back right here. Notice you can't push it all the way in. It's because if you look here, let's twist that so you can kind of so you can see it. The guide rod's only going to come through like that. The spring's not going to come through. It won't allow it. But that also, the guide rod won't come out because once this is on there, if you notice, there's going to be a little hole that the guide rod's going to go into. So it's only going to allow it to go so far. So we're together. And this actual big piece, you might be able to, there's a hole here for the guide rod that's going to go into. So this is the part, it's not hard. I mean, there's definitely more annoying things to install. But this is how I install it. I like to take this, I'm going to try to line up the guide rod and the air shaft pretty much at the same time. Nothing really to show you, I'm just going to try to aim to try to do this on the camera, if I can. We'll see. Kind of put the spring down into that groove, which in theory the guide rod's going to follow. Put the bolt, kind of get it inside of its little home, its little groove inside this chamber here. Don't just push, because this has got its machined out slot that's going to go right here. Grab it, grab both pieces together, and just sort of just push back ever so gently. Look how the air shaft's lined up. Push back, nice and smooth actually. And boom. It's in its home now. That doesn't mean just get crazy with it, because it could still fucking shoot off. I'm going to tip it upside down. And there's these two screws to deal with. These things have not backed down on me. I'll be honest. You can see on that thing's coated still like it's got fucking blue Loctite on it. I'm just going to kind of send it. There's probably enough junk in those threads that I've not cleaned out, which I don't really advise, but I'm going to do it. We're going to see how it feels. Tighten those back down. Oh yeah. Good and tight. In a good way. Alright. I know I didn't take it apart. But to take off this airline, like I said, technically this little spot right here, this little knurled piece, you would just unscrew it. And if you look, what there would be, there's a nipple that this airline is screwed onto. You can then just pull the airline off, and to take this actual piece off, you would take this whole back assembly off, pull the valve off. There's just going to be a flathead on it. You just unscrew the flathead, and it takes the actual threaded piece that's screwing into the valve off. That piece, again, I've installed it with red Loctite, and I let it stay there. Hasn't wiggled its way loose or anything like that. So, alright, again, I'd probably put a piece of tape. If you're unaware of this piece, I've taken this thing apart I don't know how many times, so I'm not really concerned about it, but a piece of tape keeps the trigger, or the pin essentially, from coming out. So we're going to put this aside, get back to her. Put my barrel in. Again, yours may not have these two springs. I think the newer kits do not. Mine, I'm putting the two springs on. And granted, to be fair, the springs are going to keep pressure on it pushed in, but I already showed you how I'm going to secure it with a set screw, so it's really not, I would say, even necessary, but let's just say added insurance, and it helps me push that back there. So to install it, just kind of slide the barrel in, and if you look, there is a slot on the bottom of the hop-up chamber that is 180 degrees off from the hop-up adjustment. Notice the screw there. It's going to come with, actually, you know what, this piece came in the kit too, I apologize. This whole little, like, whatever trunnion piece that gets secured in with the 3 set screws. Again, you'll understand that when you see it, you should at least. Slide this over it. Now with the springs, got a little bit of resistance, so I'm just going to kind of push. Going to push ever so gently and just sort of hold it in and make sure the slot's in the center. Put it in there and just screw it in. This piece has never backed out either, and to be fair, it probably won't ever back out on its own, just because, at least mine with the springs in the kit, keeping the tension at the end of that slot like that, like, it won't come out or rotate because the slot that's machined in the hop-up chamber. It's got constant pressure there, and then just the way it sits and everything in the gun, I just don't think it's ever going to come out. It never has. So those 249s, if you look like this barrel right now, I mean, I don't know if it's coming through or not, but that motherfucker moves all over the place. So you don't have this spacer. Look into that of sorts. That immediately will, A, help center the barrel, and cuts down the movement to, a ton. So if you're having weird, crazy accuracy issues, that could also be it too. Like the barrel is just free floating around there, doing its own thing. These O-rings are not necessarily, these are just for me to help kind of hold it some more once I melt the device. gets thrown on, it puts pressure down on it and everything, and it just sort of locks my barrel from moving. Alright. I grab the gun again. And I'll show you something else in it too. So, open her up. In fact, I don't think I did it. I'll show you. We lubed everything else on this. Also just add one little drop to the back of the air shaft. I'm just going to go through the valve. And then just sort of rack it a little bit. It'll find its way in. It's full auto. It'll find its way through it, I promise. Alright. Open it up. Charging handle is going to have to go forward. Again, this aluminum piece. This aluminum piece with this notch was going to grab that bolt I showed you, that little screw head earlier. That's on the side of the. It's on the side of the actual unit. So push that all the way forward, and the unit of your Dremel piece is literally just going to. Will literally just fall in. Oh, it's making me a liar. There we go. Just falls in, and I'm going to now push it forward, all the way forward. If anything, you'll be able to look on the side here. Look at those two screws that hold it in to the body. Just slide it forward until those find, you see them. I mean, they find their home. I'm going to grab my two screws. Actually, you know what? Instead of cleaning the Loctite off, I'll be lazy, but I've got a whole bin. I don't know what you guys have, but I'm going to use these screws for other things too. But I've got like a whole bin of just all the O-rings for the kits, some extra buckings, just shit that you would need. If you don't know, I have quite a bit of them, so it just sort of is a easy maintenance, but not as maintenance heavy as everyone claims they are. Yes, they require some basic, whatever, but nothing out of this world. Blue Loctite. I would almost honestly recommend, in my case, red Loctite for them. But these lock washers have definitely changed that around for me. But prior to that, which is blue Loctite with the regular screws I had, these motherfuckers were definitely coming loose. Nothing like playing a game, having a great time, and looking over and like, I'm missing a bolt. Or I'm missing a screw. And put one in 3/4 of the way. I had no problems with the holes, just lining up right from the get-go with the kit. So if you're looking for a kit to install and you don't want to, you're scared of the machine work or something like that, there's really nothing to, in this kit. Again, a Dremel and a cutoff wheel is just to open that bottom up a little bit. You could use other things too. That's what I'm just telling you. You can grab a rotary file and a Dremel. I would suggest that you could put some kind of a rotary file and a drill and just try to cut it out. You can do that too. I guess tons of options. I just get these hand tight. The blue Loctite will settle up, mixed with the lock washer, and I've been good to go. Alright. Pistol grip. Like I said, the hole's already there. Just kind of slide it on up. Put your pin. This pin, honestly, as loose as it came, because it goes in, it has not ever given me an issue personally. I don't know if it's a matter of just once my bolt is tightened up in the rear there, it just kind of, I don't know, has enough tension, it just kind of stays in there. You would think it would fall out just how easy it goes in, but I would say pay attention to it. Mine has not, but I don't know about yours. Like I said, this part will be a bit different than yours, just kind of ignore that. I'll tighten this later, but this part does not apply to all of your guns by any means, unless you've lost it and you just threw a fucking nut on there as well. But alright, something else that people have brought up, and I'll admit it was a a nuisance to me, which is also why I did it. If you look right here, there's a hole right there. That hole accepts a fucking Allen wrench. That is my hop-up adjustment. That is not there. You do not have to drill it. You can literally, let's just for instance say that set screw I showed you earlier that holds the hop-up to the body itself. You don't have to install that. So there you are, ooh. It's in the gun, you're doing your business. It installs just like your regular AEG would. You hear it lock, boom, there it is. You can shoot, boom. When you do adjust top, you just fucking pop it out. Your screw adjustment will be, as I showed you earlier, right there. Just make your adjustment and put it back in and shoot some more. I mean, it works. I'm not going to deny that. It gets fucking annoying sometimes. I guess we try to tune the gun. So that's it. I just drilled a hole. The hole is, it's not rocket science again, but it's right there. I don't know the fucking size. I measured, I just drilled a hole. While this was closed, if it doesn't fit exactly, just send it through there. This is just some pot metal. You'll drill through it. It's not very difficult. Don't get crazy. Someone send it to a machine shop. If you don't trust yourself with a drill, then okay, I get it. Then I guess send it to somebody or something. But it's not difficult. I promise it's not. So that allows me to adjust the hop basically while the gun, while the barrel's still there. So it can stay locked down. I can make my adjustments and move on with that. Reconnect your macro, your fitting, and put that screw in where I told you once the hop-up chamber is pushed in there now. Other than that, that's pretty much the assembly and disassembly for the majority of how to do the gun. If you have any questions or something that I did not cover, again, by all means, post on the Daytona page. I'll make a video on it, I guess. But that should get you through it. Kit is very easy to install and take apart. Don't be scared of it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just put it in the comments below. Have a good one.